Awesome, looks like it's online. Thank you. Tansei, oki, bonjour everybody. Hello, welcome to another wonderful Tuesday. It's getting pretty close to the holidays, so next week is solstice, and I'm very excited. Solstice is the time when we reflect back on the year that we've had, and we it's the time that we have to like really go into that quiet contemplation aspect. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break during that time. But I just wanted to begin, of course, the way I always begin every week, by acknowledging the land upon which we stand, because if you don't know where you are, then you don't know where you're going. So I am Cree, Anishinaabe, and Métis from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, which is in Saskatchewan in Treaty 6 territory. But I have lived here in Mohkinstsis for, oh my gosh, quite a while, almost 14 years this time, but then I lived here before for several years, so I've just kind of gone back and forth between Edmonton and Calgary, but and then I just spent a lot of summers on my reserve. But I'm just really humbled and thankful to be where I am, to be in Mohkinstsis and really have a connection to the land, have a connection to both the rivers, to be able to connect with the medicines that are around here and with the incredible people that are around here. And so I think it's really important to acknowledge the land and to acknowledge your place within it. And so I acknowledge the Blackfoot of Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani, the Sarsi Dene from Tsuut'ina, and the Stoney Nakoda from Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. We're also walking in the footsteps of Métis Region 3, which is why I proudly wear my Métis sash to act as that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous culture. And when we acknowledge the land, we're acknowledging far more than that. We're acknowledging those families that have been here for thousands upon thousands of generations. We say time immemorial because it has been. And I think sometimes we need to put that into perspective when we're thinking in terms of like voting cycles or just how long, colonization has taken over this land and what it's doing to this land in such a short period of time. We need to dial it back and honor the relationship that we have not only to the land but to each other, because it's by acknowledging those relationships when we're going to actually make the world a better place for our future generations. And because that's our responsibility. It's really our responsibility. And so to welcome everybody into the circle today, I'd like to share the Cree Welcome Song. Now, traditionally when we share songs, we share in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today. But this song is a little bit different. We sing it in rounds of 3 to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end, no one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the hoop of life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences, because, if everybody was exactly the same, the world would be incredibly boring and nothing would get done. So we need those differences. And it really teaches us not only to honor our path, but to honor the path of everyone else around us. And so this song is from the Natahau family from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. And I honor this family for keeping this song alive. And this song has really carved out a beautiful path for me. I feel like every time I sing it, I'm calling in the ancestors. And you feel them come and be with you and be in that circle with you and really guide you in a good way with this song. And so I'm just really humbled that I can share it in a good way. And I'm thankful to the Natahau family for keeping it alive and for being able to share it in such a good way. And so this song, it doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. My voice is a little bit better than it was last week. Still not 100%, but I'm going to get there. Miasin, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, Poma kitaskino miasen miasen hasemina hasemina epeta kote ni wa gomagan. Hota homa kita skino miasen miasen hasemina hasemina e peita kote Iwagomagan Hota Homa Kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle tonight, everybody. And so I wanted to start just by introducing my medicines. I haven't done it in a bit, and I've been thinking a lot about the medicines, especially this time of year. You're hoping for a lot more snow so that a lot more medicines will grow, and really, the ground needs time to rest, just like we need time to rest. And so the winter is the time when all of our medicines have a chance to rejuvenate. And this is why it's so important to leave those roots of the plant in the ground so that they have a chance to rejuvenate and spread out and build families over the winter when they're, when they're slumbering. So we need to do that as well. This winter is the time that we need to the reason it's cold is it's kind of forcing us to go inside and reflect and be inside and celebrate with our family and be able to honor the year that we've had and be able to lay that foundation for the year ahead. So, excuse me. Hi, Anita. So I'm going to just introduce my medicines, and again, these are just the way that I have them laid out. Everyone's teachings are going to be different around the medicine wheel because it's like our lives. Our lives are going to be different. We have different ways of looking at the world. We have different nations that we're from, different teachings, different elders that have shared with us. And so it's not right or wrong, it's just different. It's finding the path that works for you. And that's why I love Indigenous spirituality, because it's not right or wrong, it's just different. This is why we have oral traditions and oral storytelling. Whatever's meant for us, we'll remember. It's not about judgment, it's not about being forced to do anything. It's about the wisdom to know what you need. And so that's what the medicines are there for, to teach us how to be humble and to teach us, that wisdom that they hold. And so on my medicine wheel, I'm going to start in the east, and in the east we have sweetgrass, which is the connection that we have to grandfather sun, because of course that's the morning. Grandfather sun is a big ball of fire, so it connects us to fire, and that connects us to our mind. As every time we learn something, there's a synapses that fires in our brain. But sweetgrass is really good for helping us to learn, helping us to grow, helping us to make good decisions. The 3 sections have 7 blades of sweetgrass in each section to represent the 7 generations. So whenever we make a decision, we think 7 generations behind. Am I making my ancestors proud? Then we think 7 generations forward. What am I doing to leave a better world for my future generations? And this last section of those 7 has 7 teachings. So it's wisdom, it's humility, it's truth, it's honesty, it's love and respect. And what's the last one? Oh, I'm sure I'll think of it. Wisdom. Yeah, that's it. But it's really just about acknowledging those 7 things whenever we make a decision and making sure we're adhering to those things. And so sweetgrass is the sweetest medicine, the children's medicine, but whenever you just need to calm your mind, whenever you have a lot of anxiety, sweetgrass is the way to go. Whenever I have really bad insomnia, like I have bad insomnia anyway, I'll just put a little bit of sweetgrass in my tea and I'll be able to actually sleep. So that's a good thing. So the next medicine that we have, we're going to go to the south. We have cedar, and cedar is just a beautiful medicine. It's cold and flu season, stock up on cedar, because it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It has an antihistamine in it. Whenever, I should have had some, I pet my cat right before the live stream, so this is why I'm really sneezy. But when I was really, really sick, it was really suffering. So I just had cedar tea, and it really helped just move things along. It calmed my throat. I boil it on the stove and then I breathe it in, and it helped my asthma, and I had bronchitis, so it helped clear that out a little bit quicker. So I swear it, I use it for a lot. It's jam-packed with vitamins and minerals as well, so it's really good to just boost your immune system. It's awesome. Then we're going to go to the west, and in the west we have the women's medicine, which is our connection to water. It is sage, and this is buffalo sage. I've got a bunch of it here. I'm really thankful for it. I was just gifted some more, so I'm really, really thankful. And that's what we'll be smudging with today. So I'm just going to pull some off. So sage being the women's medicine, anyone can use it at any time, and that's just my teachings. But so some different teachings will say if a woman's on her moon time, she can't smudge. But in my teachings, because sage is the women's medicine, it's universal. Anybody can use it at any time to smudge. And so again, it's not right or wrong, it's just different. So those are just adhere the teachings that make sense to you. And don't let anybody force their teachings on you, because I think that's the most important thing. You have to figure it out for yourself. So it's not about dictating how someone's going to live, but it's about helping people on their path. And so let's bundle up a bit more here. And so I'm just really thankful that I actually have sage. I almost ran out last week, and so I was like, oh, creator, I need sage. And then all of a sudden I got gifted a whole bunch of sage. It's like, yeah, this is the best. So always put it out there. Just ask for what you need in the world, and you never know what's going to come back. In a good way. So don't ask for patience, or else creator will be like, okay, I'll teach you how to be patient. So there we go. And then the last medicine we have is tobacco. I have a few different kinds. So this is natural tobacco that I was gifted from a friend of mine. Very thankful for it. This is tobacco that I was gifted a couple of days ago. Very thankful for that as well. And then this is Kansasa, or Kennebec, which is red willow bark, which is just about time to harvest it as soon as the ground has been frozen, so it's been consistently cold for at least 2 weeks. Then the medicine actually gets pushed out of the ground and into the branches, so it's almost time to harvest red willow, and I'm really, really excited because I have a few places that I'm able to harvest. So yay. Awesome. That being said, we're gonna smudge. When I smudge, I take off my earrings and any metal that I'm wearing, because metal holds energy. If it's your glasses, you can take them off and smudge them. If it's like your wedding ring or a piercing that you keep all the time, then don't worry about taking that off. But tobacco is our connection to spirit. So when and the air, so we have all 4 elements, all 4 directions, everything in the smudge bowl. So the bowl itself is water. The smudge, whatever we put in there, is earth. When we let it on fire, it's fire. And then the smoke is air, because it's connected to our prayers. And so, and I love smudging. It always makes me feel better. So no matter if I'm like, you know, tired, it energizes me. If I'm like a little stressed out, I'll smudge and I'll feel 100 times better. But it's a good thing to do. And many different nations from around the world actually have different kinds of smudging practices. In the Catholic Church, they bring that big ball of frankincense down the aisle. It's the same. It's purifying with smoke, right? And so, like, different places will have resin that they burn to purify. Some places will have herbs that they burn to purify. Others will have, like, different kinds of, like, brush or sticks or incenses that they use. And so it's a universal practice around the world. So not right or wrong, just different. The things that we use, but it's different ways to connect. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my hands, so anything that I'm carrying I get rid of. I'm going to bring it over my body 4 times, down to the 4 directions in my body. Smudge my mind so I can think clearly and learn from every person that crosses my path. So I can be open-minded and never rigid with my thinking. I smudge my eyes so I can see clearly and see all of the beauty that surrounds me. So I can remember to see the unseen and be thankful every day for the vision I have. I smudge my ears so I can hear twice as much as I speak, listen twice as much as I speak. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I can be open to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me, and to be thankful for my hearing. To be able to hear things that maybe we need to listen a little deeper for. Smudge my nose so I smell danger and nature and cookies. I smudge my mouth so I speak only true, kind words that are helpful. And always ask, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it kind? It's a good rule of thumb. I smudge my throat because I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, so I can continue to give voice to the voiceless as an activist, but also so I can share my voice with all of Creator. I'm going to smudge my lungs so I breathe good, clean air and honor the sacred breath that we all share. I'm going to smudge my heart so I remember to be kind and compassionate, show unconditional love to all those around me, my family, my friends, all my relations. My stomach, so all the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. Just ate dinner, it was very good. Smudge my womanhood because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time. I'm a two-spirit woman and I honor both that masculine and feminine path that I carry within me. I smudge my belly button because that's where we're connected to our spirit. It's where we're connected before we come into this world, so that's where our spirit talks to us. Just so we can be more open to hear the messages that our spirit sends us. That's what our intuition is. I smudge my shoulders and my back so I can carry all of my responsibilities with grace and humility. I smudge my arms and my hands so I can do the good work that Creator's put me here to do. I smudge my legs so I walk this red road in a good way. I smudge my feet so I stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth, treading lightly upon her, honoring her with every step. And then if there's anywhere on your body you need a little extra love, so whenever the snow comes, my hips start to flare up because I've had multiple hip surgeries, so I honor my hips for doing the jobs that they're doing. My back, because I slept weird, and my shoulder, because it's giving me grief today. And when you're done, you say hi or magwitch or merci or grazie or shieshu or dankeschön or masicho or however you say thank you in your language, because your language is important, because that's how you talk to your ancestors. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to share the 4 Directions song, and yeah, sounds like a plan. And then I'm going to talk about these lovely paintings behind me. Oh, hey, I forgot I was gifted other tobacco. It's in my... Oops. There we go. So this song is, I learned it as the 4 Directions or the 4 Winds song. It's also known as the Cherokee Morning Song, so Ulali and Robbie Robertson have done it. And to me, I can hear the sun going through the 4 directions, the wind swirling through the 4 directions, and it teaches us to really honor the balance of the 4 directions that are within us and all around us, and to really appreciate that balance that we need, ask for the things that we need in our life, and let go of the things that we don't, because that's the whole point of smudging. It's the whole point of, honoring the medicine wheel. It can be found on YouTube, I think, as the Cherokee Morning Song or as Wendeaho. So the beautiful paintings behind me are from the fabulous Sam Baghetti. He does amazing work, but we're going to be auctioning them off for the holidays. With a draw, woo, so I haven't done up the awesome whiteboard with like the numbers yet, but I'm going to be doing that. And so we're going to be selling squares for $10. We'll have, I think 200 squares available. Yeah, 10 by, yeah, we'll figure it out. Hold on. I'm going to do math really quick. No, I'm going to check. Okay, we're going to be 15 by 15, I think, for the grid. Yes, 225. 225. And if we need to add more, we'll add more. But yeah, so the first painting, it's quite large, so give me half a second to pull it down. So this is Sam's beautiful work. Whoops. And I'm going to just tip it there so you can see it a little bit better. All right. So this is he just makes stunning, beautiful work. And so of course these are the two wolves looking at each other. So this is the big one. It's quite large. Oh look, I can even grab it from the back. Check that out. Yeah. So this is up for grabs. And so the way that we're going to do the draw, if you're in Mohkinstsis and you're in the general vicinity of Calgary, if you're within a couple hours drive, I can drive it out to you. But yeah, so we'll be taking bids, we'll be selling squares for 10 bucks a pop, and we'll be raising money to get his dad down here for Christmas to do some doctoring, and so I'm really thankful for that. And so for the first place, this is what you will receive. For the second place, because once we do that first draw, whoops, you will have a choice between two different paintings. So this is painting number 1, which is this beautiful wolf. Again, just gorgeous. Is it a wolf or a coyote? It's very cute. Humility. So it's one of the sacred teachings, so it's humility. That was the one I missed. Humility. But yeah, so it's just gorgeous. Every time I see the background that he makes with the birch trees, it's so calming and so humbling. I just love it. So I'm like, I kind of want to just buy them myself, but I can't because we're raising money. And so that is painting number 2, and then painting number 3 is this one. So if you are the first person drawn, you of course get to choose whichever one you want. And so this is Change with the butterfly, the beautiful butterfly. Oh, I just noticed the beautiful butterflies there. And so, yeah, Change. So you'll have a choice. If you are the first person drawn, I'll give you a shout or shoot you a message and let you know, and you can pick one of the 3. And then the second person will get to pick whichever one of the 2 they like that are left over. And then the third person will, yeah, they will get that last one. So I'll put up the squares later this, well, maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. I'm quite crazy right now. But it should be awesome. And so again, $10 a square, and I'll be posting those squares throughout the week. I'll be taking pictures of them, posting them on Instagram, and they will be going to Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. So no matter where you follow, you'll be able to catch it. So if you have any questions about the artist, his name is Sam Baghetti, and he is phenomenal. He has beautiful work. If you want a commissioned piece, let me know and I will connect you. But he just absolutely incredible work. And his work is just so healing as part of his healing process, but it's also when you like witness that art, there's something that just transcends, and it's just gorgeous and wonderful, and it's very healing. So his work, I could just look at it for hours and notice something different or something within myself. So, and I'm pretty sure everybody feels the same way. So that being said, I'm going to share the healing song. I know that it's been a really rough week all around, so just with some of the tornadoes that are happening down south across the border, and some of the, a lot of people are starting to get sick from the newest version of the virus, which, I mean, could have been avoided if we just vaccinated the entire world's population. I'm just saying they wouldn't have mutated. But yeah, so this is the healing song. It's also called the crying song or the wailing song, and in it you can hear the tears. It used to be a sacred song that we only shared in ceremony, but a lot of the elders who had taught it to me said now it's the time that we need to come together as a society for healing, as one community, which is what we should have been right from the get-go. And now we're starting to see those traditional ways of knowing being more readily accepted and now being proved by science, which makes me look really smart. And so it's just really about honoring that healing journey that we need to take together. And so we sing it 4 times, under the 4 directions in the medicine wheel. But the 3rd time, we actually stop drumming. So that is the healing round of the song. And so in that round, in that silence, you take those things that you need in your life. You ask for the healing that you need for yourself, the healing that you need for other people, the healing that we need for beautiful Mother Earth. And you're really putting those good intentions, that good healing into it. And you can ask for, physical healing, of course. Everybody needs physical healing, or mental healing, emotional healing, but also spiritual healing. And that reminder that we need all 4 of those things to come together to be one full being and one healed being. And so that's really what this song honors when we sing it in the 4 rounds. And so when that drum beat comes back in on that 4th round, it's just letting go of all of that intention, letting go of all of that energy, and seeing what comes back. And so, yeah. This song is done with a heartbeat, which is what that drum is. It's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. It's that woman's beat, that honor beat, that healing beat, and that ceremony beat. And so, yeah, this is the healing song. Slide that back. Way high, way high, yo. Hey, 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 oh. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, way high, yo. Way high, way high, So I'm going to share a couple of stories, I think. So, yeah, I was thinking a lot about the Thunderbird story in this time of year, because in it, of course, we the 2-leggeds were freezing. So this is the Thunderbird story as I know it, and also how the people got fire, how we as 2-leggeds got fire. So a long time ago, when we were first created, or should I say recreated, we of course were pretty naked. We don't have a lot of fur, but for the most part it was warm, so we could get away with it, even though some of the animals thought that we were a little funny looking because we didn't have fur, and we didn't live underground even though we didn't have fur. We didn't make dens for ourselves or anything like that. We were just kind of all out in the open, and it worked for a while because it was very balmy, very warm, until one year it started to get really, really cold. And with Sacajak, he took pity on us. And Sacajac's very much like Nana Boju, a little bit like Napi in Blackfoot. He's kind of a trickster spirit, but he means well, and he learns his lessons, and then he hopefully doesn't repeat them. But he really teaches us about that sense of humility and exploration. But he took pity on us because, of course, we were freezing. And so he ran to Creator and he said, Creator, the two-leggeds, they are freezing to death because it is it's just too cold. And they don't have fur like a lot of the other animals. They don't have dens. They don't hibernate through the winter. And so we have to figure out, how they're going to stay alive throughout the winter. And so Creator said, okay, bring the buffalo and she'll know what to do. And so the buffalo came to Creator and Creator told the buffalo, okay, the two-leggeds are freezing, so we need to find a way to feed them through the winter and to be able to clothe them through the winter and to be able to have some place for them to stay, to live, because of course they don't live underground, they don't live in caves. And so the buffalo said, of course, Creator, I'm going to honor them with my body and I'll teach them all the ways of how to use my meat, how to dry it out in the sun so that they'll have something to eat throughout the winter, how to smush my meat with berries so that the pemmican will last them throughout the winter and they'll have enough vitamins and minerals when it gets really cold out. I'll teach them how to scrape and salt the back of my fur so that they can wrap themselves in it to keep them warm. And I'll teach them how to scrape and stretch my fur so that they can use it for the outside of a teepee. And so the buffalo came to us and taught us how to build teepees out of its skin, how to build buffalo robes so we were able to not only lay on something soft, but also to be able to be warm throughout the winter. And showed us how to honor it in a good way using every part of the buffalo, including being able to dry the meat so we were able to survive through the winter. And this worked for several years until one year it was bitterly cold, like colder than anyone had ever experienced. Even the animals were having a really hard time staying warm and staying alive. And so Wasaka saw that the two-leggeds, us, were freezing. Didn't matter how many layers we had of buffalo robes on us. It didn't matter how, how thick the hide was on the outside of the teepee or how huddled together we were freezing. And so Wasaka went back to Creator and said, Creator, the two-leggeds, they're dying again. They're just freezing. So how are we going to help them? How are we going to make them survive through the winter? And Creator said, I'm not quite sure, Wasaka, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens. And Wasaka didn't like that answer and said, well, what about fire? Can't we give them fire, Creator? Can't we talk to the Thunderbird and ask her to gift one of her fire eggs to the two-leggeds? Because then they'll survive through the winter. And Creator shook their head and said, you know what? No, because the last time we gave the two-leggeds fire, they took it for granted, and there was a lot of damage and devastation to the earth and damage and devastation to each other, and I just don't want to deal with that mess again. So I don't think they have enough responsibility. And no, I don't want to give them fire. And I'm pretty sure the Thunderbird doesn't want to be responsible for them caring for fire either. And Wasaka said, okay, to Creator, but walked away, knowing he'd already had his mind set on getting us fire. And so he went to the Thunderbird and he said, Thunderbird, the two-leggeds are freezing. Can we please give them fire so that they can survive through the winter? And the Thunderbird shook her head and said, Wasaka, you already asked Creator if you could have fire for the two-leggeds. And Creator said no. My answer is no. And Wasaka said, okay, fine. And he started to huff out of her cave. And he got an idea in his head. He always knew when the Thunderbird was sleeping because, to live up to her name, every time she was sleeping, her snoring rumbled the sky very much like thunder. And so he waited until that familiar rumble started to take over the valley and he knew that she was sleeping. And so he tiptoed into her cave and he reached very, very gently into her nest under her and pulled out one of her beautiful fire eggs. And he was very proud of himself for stealing this, but he started to tiptoe towards the entrance. But because he started to feel a little full of himself, like, hey, I stole that egg, I knew I could, he wasn't paying attention and tripped over a root, and then he dropped it. And as he dropped the fire egg, it started to roll, and it rolled faster and faster, and it rolled out the mouth of the cave and started to roll down the hill towards the two-leggeds village. And of course, anything catching on fire in the middle of the night is going to light up everything and wake up a bunch of animals. So all of the animals started screaming, Thunderbird, Thunderbird, there's a fire, there's a fire. And as she woke up and she turned to the mouth of the cave, which was quite well lit up because of the fire, she saw Wasaka-Jack standing there. And she was mad. She said, Wasaka-Jack, how could you steal my egg? And so she started to fly down at him, and he started to run down the hill. He was chasing that fire egg because he wanted to catch it before the Thunderbird caught him. And as he ran down to the edge, he finally caught it. And he looked up to see the Thunderbird diving towards him. And so he did the only thing that he knew how to keep it safe, as he swallowed it. Oh, and gave him pretty bad heartburn. But he continued to run away from the Thunderbird, and she was dipping, and she was diving, and she was trying to get that Wasaka-Jack. And finally he's like, okay, well, no matter where I go, she's going to see me because there's so much snow on the ground and everything is completely white, and my hair is black. Of course she's going to see me. So he turned himself into Wapoose the rabbit, but you could still tell it was Wasaka-Jack because of the little black tips on his ears. But he continued to bounce, and she lost sight of him for a minute, and then she saw him. She knew it was him because of those black tips on his ears, and she started to dip and dive down, and he started to zig and zag and zig and zag to get away from her. And all of the rabbits who were watching this unfold said, "Ha! That's a really good move to get away from predators." And so from that point on, the rabbits started to zig and zag and zig and zag to get away from predators, which worked for the most part, just not when you're in front of a minivan going down a back alley. And so it's more of an annoyance than anything. But Wasaka-Jack kept running, and he saw a clearing of aspen trees, and the aspens still had their leaves. And so he ran to the aspens and he said, "Aspens, aspens, you'll need to protect me. The Thunderbird is coming to get me." And the aspens were terrified of the Thunderbird, and they began to shake. Anytime they felt wind coming close to them, they began to shake and quiver. And so Wasaka-Jack knew that they weren't going to hide him. And so he continued to run, zigzagging back and forth as this rabbit. And anytime the wind will hit the trees from now on, because they think the Thunderbird's coming to get them, the aspens will shake. And so Wasaka-Jack saw another clearing, and it was all of these beautiful white trees. They looked completely white against the snow. And he knew those birch trees would be the perfect place to hide because he was white as Wapoose. They were white and the snow was white. That was a perfect place to hide. And so he zigged and zagged and zigged and zagged. And then he asked them, birch trees, will you hide me? Will you protect me? And they said, yes, of course, Wasaka-Jack. And so he jumped into the clearing of birch trees, and he hid, quivering behind a birch tree. And he poked his little ears out, and as he did, the Thunderbird caught sight of those black tips on his ears and said, Wasaka-Jack, how could you steal my Thunderbird egg? Birch trees, give me Wasaka-Jack. And they said, no, we will stand tall and we will protect Wasaka-Jack because we know he was doing it for a good reason. And the Thunderbird was mad. And so she started to claw and tear at the birch trees with her lightning claws, creating these deep, burning grooves of claw marks within their bark. And still to this day, the ancestors of the birch trees still are white with those deep burn marks, these deep grooves within their bark, because her magic has lasted for generations. And finally Wasaka-Jack said, okay, Thunderbird, please stop hurting the birch trees. He thanked the birch trees, and very reluctantly, he hopped out and turned himself back into Wasaka-Jack. He said, Thunderbird, I'm sorry for disobeying you, for disobeying Creator, and for stealing your Thunderbird egg. And he spit it out, that beautiful fire egg. But he said, before you take it back, and before you don't let me give it to the two-leggeds, can you turn around? She said, why? He said, just trust me. Turn around and look at what the two-leggeds are doing. And so the Thunderbird turned around, and she saw that last little bit of fire starting to creep towards the two-leggeds village. As it did, they got closer and closer to the fire to warm themselves. But something very different happened. They started to share stories. They shared stories of the Wapoose and how it zigzags back and forth, of the aspen and how it trembles at the sight or sound of the Thunderbird, and those beautiful birch trees and how they got those deep grooves. They shared many stories of Wasaka-Jack and all the trouble he gets into. But then they shared the story of the Thunderbird and how glorious and beautiful and magical she was, and how gifted they were to have received the gift of fire from her, if only for a moment, to stay alive in that moment. And her heart softened, and she said, Wasaka-Jack, I see now why the fire is important. Not only to keep those two-leggeds alive, to help them cook their food, but also so they can share stories and remember what's important in all of creation. Wasaka-Jack, yes, you can give those fire eggs back. Just one, but teach them how to honor fire in a good way. So Wasaka-Jack came to us and honored us with that beautiful firebird egg, or thunderbird egg, that egg of fire, and taught us all the ways of how to keep fire safe, how to be protected from fire, how to honor fire, and how to have fire ceremonies. And unfortunately, we've lost a little bit of that, and I think we forget to honor fire the way it needs to be. But had it not been for Wasaka-Jack and a little bit of trouble he got in, and the Thunderbird and her beautiful gift, we wouldn't be here. So that is the Thunderbird story. So I'm going to share the Thunderbird song. The Thunderbird song. So one thing about the Thunderbird is she's like fate or destiny. She's that thing that pushes us in the direction that we're meant to go. She teaches us that everything happens for a reason, and just we have a choice. We can either be on the hard path or the easy path. We're going to get to the same place eventually. But if we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, eventually the Thunderbird, she'll lose her temper and she'll kick us in the butt and put us on the path we need to be on. And sometimes her teachings are not so gentle. So it's really about honoring that internal Thunderbird, which is our intuition, which is our internal spirit, but also honoring our ancestors that are pushing us forward along with the Thunderbird. And so this is the Thunderbird song. And this is Anishinaabe, and I learned it from, I think Carrie Moore was one of the elders I learned it from, and learned it from another friend, and I'm just blanking on her name right now, but I'm sure it'll pop into my head and I'll yell it out later. So the laughing song jumped in my head, so I'm going to do the laughing song. And then the water song. I've been thinking a lot about the importance of water. So here's the laughing song, though. This is from the Otomenque Singers. Either the Otomenque Singers or the Four Wind Singers had put this song out. But it's about not taking ourselves too seriously, which a lot of the birds will teach us that. And it's really about, looking at everything with joy, being joyful, being happy, honoring everything that is around us and within us, and being able to look at the world with gratitude and with laughter and joy. And so this is the laughing song. Let's look up a laughing song because sometimes we mess it up, or the happy song. Way high oh, way high high oh, way ho, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way oh, way oh, way oh, way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, my hey oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh, way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, my hey oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, my hey oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, my hey oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, my hey oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way oh, way oh, way oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. Way high oh, way high oh, way ho, way ho, way oh, way ho, way ho, way way oh, way oh, way oh. And I totally messed that up. I added an extra verse just for fun. And so the rain song, or sorry, the water song. In it, you might hear the rain, you might hear the ocean, you might hear a river. Whew. It takes a lot of breath out of me because it just like the laughing song, it begins to go faster and faster and faster, and it teaches us, you know, that's like life. Sometimes it rushes and sometimes it's slow, and it teaches us that we need to honor those moments as they come. It teaches us to honor our happy moments as well as our sad moments, because if we were happy all the time, we wouldn't appreciate it. Just like if we were sad all the time, we wouldn't really appreciate being happy either. And so it teaches us to really appreciate every moment, to appreciate every emotion, because our emotions are liquid, and this is why it's connected to water. And so, yeah, this is the water song. My cousin calls it the river song. It's the water song. My other cousin calls it the ocean song. And I call it the rain song occasionally, but we're all correct because it is the rain. It is the rain and the river and the ocean. It's all of those things. It's the water within each and every one of us. And our emotions. And so it goes back and forth between gentle and strong. And please, if you have drum, please join me at home. Wishita do ya do ya do ya. Wishita do ya do ya day. Wishita do ya do ya do ya. Wishita do ya do ya day. Wishita do ya do ya do ya. Wishita do ya do ya day. Wishita do ya do ya do ya. Wishita do ya do ya day. Wishata ya hey ya hey ya. Awesome. So I'm going to share two more songs before I go. Of course, the closing song will be the traveling song, as I usually love to close with that one. But I've been thinking a lot about the bear, because the bear teaches us about that quiet reflection that we need. And that's why they hibernate in the winter, because they need to recuperate, regenerate. Unfortunately, this year's been a little weird, because some of them haven't gone back into hibernation yet. So they're teaching us that something is wrong, something's not quite right, and to really pay attention. So but this is the Anishinaabe Bear Song, because they teach us so much about who we are. They teach us when to go to sleep and when to wake up. That's what hibernation's all about. And so for them to be still out and about this late in the season, it's worrying, it's concerning, because they always know what's happening. They know what to eat and when to eat it. If fish are sick, they won't eat them, and so they'll warn us, like, don't eat these fish. If there's an imbalance, they will only eat certain things to be able to balance the environment around them. But they also teach us that we can only be ourselves. The bear can only be the bear, and we can only be ourselves. And so it's the really useful and meaningful lesson behind the bear and what all it teaches us. And so this is the Anishinaabe Bear Song. wonderful week ahead. I wanted to share the traveling song. So this song I learned from my elder Sharon Poo Turner, and I always honor her when I sing this song. I'm just so thankful and humbled that this song came back because she passed a while ago, but I always feel like she's with us and with me, and whenever I need guidance, I feel like she's just got right there with her voice. And so whenever I sing this song, I hear her like really high voice singing right behind me, and I love this. So it's really about, honoring the path that we're on, knowing that community is where we make it. Trust that your path, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey itself and all that you learn and the people that you cross paths with and the things that you learn from those people, whether they be good or bad. But it's really just about honoring, and putting one foot in front of the other, honoring where all roads will lead you, and also knowing that home is where you make it. Home is your connection to our ancestors, it's your connection to the earth, and that's connection to your feet on the ground. We have to lay that foundation, and this traveling song is so that everyone can find that path ahead and safely, and really, get where they need to go. So this is the Anishinaabe traveling song. Also, I use it as a goodbye song, so I want to, not goodbye, see you next week. And next week is solstice, so that'll be good. So I'll share some solstice teachings at that time. So this is the traveling song. Thank you so much for joining me today, Marcy. And yeah, I hope to see you next week. If not, have a beautiful solstice and have a beautiful holiday season, whatever you may celebrate. Whoops, hold on. There we go. Okay. Sometimes I have to do that a little bit because my camera just decides to give up. But again, if you wanted to put bids on these beautiful paintings behind me, it's $10 a square, and I will have the squares up, and we will do the draw on the, let me pull up my calendar here, on the 23rd, I think. Yes, on the Thursday, and then I will deliver them on the Friday. And so the 23rd we will be doing the draw, and then the Friday, which is the 24th, I will be driving all of the beautiful prizes around. Again, thank you to Sam Baguetti, and please do, this is going to a good cause. So definitely $10 per square. Just send me a message. So you can either send me a message here on Facebook. Actually, it's easier to text me. My number is 403-404-7664. I'll put updates with whatever numbers are there along with pictures every day. And yeah, hope to see you all soon. And congratulations to whoever wins. Hope you all do. So Miigwech, everyone. Hi. Thank you again. And we will see you next week. Bye.